My name is Juliann. I'm a senior product manager.
My name is James Bodnar. I'm a senior game designer on Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days is a side-scrolling zombie survival game where the player controls a group of survivors in a doomed city in 1980s Texas. The gameplay is split between two elements: looking after the survivors in the shelter, and then it is going out into the city and scavenging.
It's about a group of survivors who've managed to escape the initial onslaught by hiding somewhere. When the game begins, you start with them poking their head out, wondering what's happened to the city after the initial outbreak, and realizing that they are now living in a new reality. So your goal is to get them to scavenge for resources, craft what they need, and figure out a plan to escape a current situation.
We were looking at what other stories we could tell in this universe, and one of the inspirations was 1970s, 1980s horror films, trying to recreate that vibe in a side-scrolling survival horror game. That, along with plenty of other zombie games that we all love on the team. I think what makes Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days unique is it really brings together a number of elements into one game. First off is that you are just ordinary survivors, ordinary people. You're not a highly trained military operative dropped into a war zone. These are people that had normal jobs, normal lives, and are thrown into the chaos of a zombie apocalypse. Tied in with this is that this is very recent to when the zombie apocalypse breaks out. This is not 10 years, 20 years after when people have become used to the misery of a zombie game. This is fresh and raw for these survivors. So really diving into that story, diving into each person's experience in that is what really is going to make this game stand out.
If you like games like Project Zomboid, The Last of Us, This War of Mine as well, State of Decay, anything that's in the survival genre, but if you also like it to be challenging and punishing, as opposed for it to just be like a easy walk in the park, then I think you would like our game.
So the zombies for Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days, we wanted to try and make them feel a little different from what you might find in other games. These aren't your normal zombies that are just completely brain dead and will only just run straight at you. The word that came up again and again in production was empathetic. We wanted to show the humanity of these zombies. We wanted to show that these were regular people that have been torn away from their normal life and into this sad situation. So as the player goes through this world, they're going to find zombies mourning their past lives. Maybe a hand on a photograph of their old family, hugging together to feel touch of another creature. And another thing that we want to create is really the sense of almost like a group that they belong to. And this reacts to the player. So if they kill a zombie and then another one walks along and finds their corpse, they will mourn them. And then they're going to call out and try and find the person that did this. It's up to the player to decide how they want to approach the situation. The ultimate goal of Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days is to escape. This is optional, you could argue, but really the city is getting more dangerous, the resources running out, and the player, if they want their survivors to survive, they need to escape. Now there's many different ways that they can get out of Walton City using the plan system in our game.
So plans are a feature where we essentially provide escape plans for the survivor to take on. We want the player to be able to play the game their way, and so we want you to make decisions. So a lot of it's inspired about like, oh, if I were in a zombie apocalypse, what would I be doing? And so plans are an optional feature that you can choose to do. So if you find out about, the military are evacuating people at this point, but they're going to leave in like a week. So you could choose to travel in that direction and try to find out more about that plan. Or you could go like, there might be some boats in the marina, and so maybe that's an option for us. So there'll be things that we want the player to discover over time, for there to be some breadcrumbs that the player can kind of grab on and follow if they choose to.
Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days has a public demo coming out on Steam in October. So the best way to know about that and when that's live is to wishlist us and to know about all the upcoming updates for this game.